Hello there, and welcome to today's episode of the Easy EdTech Podcast. My name is Monica Burns, and I am so glad that you're here to join me today. If you want to make the most of education technology, aka EdTech, well, you are in the right place. My goal has always been to help make EdTech easier and give you ideas you can try yourself, share with a colleague, or bookmark for later in the school year. Every Tuesday here on the Easy EdTech Podcast, you'll hear stories from my time in the classroom, the work I do now with schools and districts, and my travels to different EdTech events. Get ready for solo episodes where I share some quick tips and stories, and interviews full of practical ideas and stories from new guests each month. If we mention something you'd like to check out, make sure to click the link. You'll find it in the episode description or the summary area where you're listening to this podcast, or you can find every episode and all of the resources we mention by going to classtechtips.com/podcast, or by going to classtechtips.com and just clicking on the Easy EdTech Podcast button at the top of the page. This episode is sponsored by my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction, published by ASCD and ISTE. It's full of quick tips educators can use, and Amazon almost always has it on sale. Just search for me, Monica Burns, on Amazon to see all of my books and quick reference guides. But please remember that there are 2 authors named Monica Burns on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tell the difference between our books. Just head to Amazon, search Monica Burns, and you'll find my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction. Today's episode is all about drafting with a digital partner and getting some faster feedback for students. I'm recording this for you just a few days before the episode will go live, and I've spent March in a few different places, including some spots in New York State, of course, some virtual work with schools and districts in different corners of the country. And this season, I've found many people are asking for support with drafting feedback or getting ways to make sure students have the information that they need in order to move forward or take action. And AI tools for teacher feedback can help you draft comments faster, plan next steps, while keeping you in the driver's seat. And you'll hear that throughout this episode, that importance of staying in the driver's seat or keeping the human in the loop is crucial. These tools are not going to take on, everything that your expertise and experience is there to give to students as you're reviewing their work, but it can certainly act as a partner for you in drafting some feedback for students. So I've hosted a handful of workshops recently. This past fall, I did one specifically on this topic, using AI chatbots to support feedback routines and formative assessment. And when we talked about in that session what made feedback effective and what teachers could realistically do during a busy week, we really just doubled down, I guess I could say, on this idea that AI tools can help us move faster without losing that professional judgment that makes feedback so meaningful. And of course, I'll link out in the show notes to some ways to connect regarding webinars and workshops and my calendar in case you're interested in upcoming events. This is sometimes something that I talk about in the Easy EdTech Club or AI and Education membership too. But in today's episode, I have a dozen or so prompts to share with you and a few favorite AI tools that can help support teacher feedback. So why does timely feedback matter? Well, When feedback is timely, students can use it while the learning is still in progress. They can revise a paragraph, rethink a math strategy, or even reread a section of text with a clearer goal in mind. As a classroom teacher, even with 30 students, not even the 120 or 150, right, that some teachers at the secondary level have, right, it was still a challenge to give feedback to every student in all of the areas of the day that we had, with a quick turnaround. And we know, because we've probably been there ourselves as students, that when feedback shows up after too much time has passed, it doesn't have the same impact it would have when the work is fresh for students. You miss that chance to adjust instruction based on your observations of student work. And on the blog and on the podcast too, I've shared lots of ideas connected to formative assessment and feedback routines over the past decade or so. I've got some posts on exit tickets and rubrics and all of that. But AI chatbots can support your feedback routines, so the things that you already have in place, by helping you draft responses to students so you can respond in a more timely manner. And I've shared plenty of prompt examples on the blog and podcast. I've got a post on social studies prompts for social studies educators. I've got a download with, 60 plus must try prompts for teachers. And so when you are creating a prompt related to feedback, you want to make sure that you avoid uploading student work into a general purpose chatbot. Some schools already have AI powered tools deployed that might include having students submit work and maybe a feedback or comment populate because the AI tool is there and those permissions are already in place. So it's kind of a different story there. But more generally, we're talking today, since I'm not quite sure, as a listener, where your school or district might be with using some of these tools, right? I generally recommend avoiding copying and pasting chatbots output directly into student comments, just the same way that I would tell you, right, not to put student work into a chatbot. Instead, you could describe the assignment, the grade level, the specific skill you are targeting, and you can use that chatbot to generate some draft language. Then you'll review and revise with your own expertise and your knowledge of the student. Now, I'll link out in the show notes to a list of 8 AI chatbots for teachers. So today, if I'm giving examples, you might use it in ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or Perplexity or Copilot, you name it. So let's get to it. I've got a handful of starters, or I should say prompts, that you could use to get started. And of course, I'll link out to the transcript. So you could, of course, pause the episode, jot one down, or try it out, but you'll have that whole list for you after today too. All right, here are some prompts you can copy and paste from today's show notes and customize. First up, my students are writing persuasive essays. Create a list of short feedback comments focused on the effectiveness of the essay hook. Include positive feedback and suggestions for improvement. So in that example, I gave some context, what students were working on. I could have given a lot more context. I could have even uploaded reference materials, like here is, the rubric for this project or something like that, but keeping it simple for that first example. Next up. My students are in 5th grade and are writing persuasive essays. Generate a list of potential comments I can leave on their work about the opening hook. My students are writing persuasive essays. So got a couple of the persuasive essay examples to get us started. So again, giving that context, and then draft feedback comments about the hook that align to this rubric criterion. The introduction engages the reader and clearly presents the topic. So for that one, I gave a specific part of the rubric that I wanted to get some feedback ideas for. Here's another one, or 2 more related to persuasive essays. My students are writing persuasive essays. Create feedback comments about the hook that can include one clear next step the student could take to revise their opening. Or this last one in this section, my students are writing persuasive essays. Create 3 sets of feedback comments about the hook. 1 for strong openings, 1 for developing openings, and 1 for openings that need significant revision. So all of those were kind of under the same umbrella of persuasive essays, but you can see how I shifted really depending on what my goal was for the type of feedback I want to give. Now, after a chatbot generates some feedback ideas, right, you can do that quick quality check. You could ask yourself questions like, does this match the language I use with students? Or do these pieces of feedback really connect to the learning goal? If you want to use the reply to refine strategy I often share, you could say something like, write the comments in student-friendly language, or include a next step that starts with a verb like add, revise, explain, or highlight. So all of those would work there too. Now, if you're thinking more formative assessments today as opposed to feedback ideas, I've got a couple examples that have an earth science connection. Let's take a look at these ones. First step, I teach middle school earth science. Create an exit ticket to check student understanding of the rock cycle. Include one multiple choice question, one short answer, and one reflection question. Create a short exit ticket for earth science lesson on weather fronts that can be completed in under 5 minutes. So those are 2 on exit tickets. Here's one just getting some questions. Create 4 questions for a formative assessment that help me identify whether my 8th grade students understand the difference between weather and climate. Or this one, I teach 8th grade earth science. Create 3 levels of formative assessment questions on the water cycle. Basic recall, explaining processes, and applying understanding to a real-world example. So these examples are pretty general, right? So you could make your request, your prompts really as specific as you like, and I'm sure you would provide way more context than I am in these quick examples. So as promised, just a couple tools that can support teacher feedback. Alongside using a prompt and chatbot, you might head straight to an AI-powered educational tool that can add feedback directly to student work that's been submitted. You, of course, don't want to upload student work into a chatbot, like I mentioned earlier, but if you're using a school or district-approved tool that students can sign into and submit their work, right, you can take advantage of some of the feedback suggestions just as a starting point for what you write. So Writable is one example. The 3 I'm sharing with you, I'll link out to blog posts that I've done actually in partnership with all of these tools. So definitely fans of these 3. So Writable includes AI feedback designed to help teachers create more actionable, rubric-aligned comments and draft scores. EdLight is another. It's designed to analyze handwritten student work, highlight any gaps that might be present, and suggest next steps. It's often positioned as a math tool or math support tool. So if you're a math teacher or working with math educators, you'll probably want to check out that one first. And then ScreenPal. ScreenPal, I just did a webinar for them, I guess in February, just about a month ago, and it lets you give feedback to students with a video twist. And they have an awesome Chrome extension, so you could really quickly leave some video feedback without having to write out a long response or jump between tabs. So if you want to learn more about any of these ones, check out the show notes. If you want to learn more about my workshops, you can go to just the website, classtechtips.com, and you'll see the Work with Monica button at the top of my website. Let's finish up this episode like we always do with some key points to make that EdTech easy. Use AI chatbots as draft partners to speed up feedback without replacing your professional judgment. Describe the assignment and skill instead of uploading student work into a chatbot. Generate reusable, skill-aligned feedback comments to save time during grading. Use AI tools to create quick, formative assessments that check for understanding in just a few minutes. Remember, you can find the show notes and the full list of resources from today's episode by heading to easyedtechpodcast.com. This episode is sponsored by my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction, published by ASCD and ISTE. It's full of quick tips educators can use, and Amazon almost always has it on sale. Just search for me, Monica Burns, on Amazon to see all of my books and quick reference guides. But please remember that there are 2 authors named Monica Burns on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tell the difference between our books. Just head to Amazon, search Monica Burns, and you'll find my quick reference guide using AI chatbots to enhance planning and instruction. Thank you for listening to this new episode of the Easy EdTech podcast. I love creating new episodes for you each week, but I could use a bit of help spreading the word about the podcast. Can you leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app? Spotify will let you tap on the stars, and Apple Podcasts will let you tap on the stars and leave a 1 or 2 sentence review. Thank you so much for taking this extra step. It helps other educators find episodes like this one when they're searching for EdTech tips.